Our journey begins on the coast at Saint-Nazaire and the mouth of the River Loire. And along the river valley are some of the finest castles, palaces and houses in France. As we head upriver past Nantes, the main towns on our journey will be Angers, Tours, Blois and Orléans. Some of the palaces we will see are enormous and ancient, built over 400 years ago. Many of the castles date back even further in time. At Orléans, we head northeast, away from the river, to end our journey at two palaces. First, Fontainebleau, and then on to one of the architectural masterpieces of Europe, Vaux-le-Vicomte. Saint-Nazaire, on the north bank of the Loire estuary, came into prominence during the 19th century, when the harbour expanded, shipbuilding began, and the railway arrived. The harbour is perhaps most famous for the daring and successful British commando raid during World War II, when an old ship full of explosives was rammed into the dock gates to prevent the use of the dry dock by large German battleships. The Germans used Saint-Nazaire as a base for naval operations in the Atlantic, and inside the harbour is an enormous old German U-boat pen with concrete an incredible 9 meters thick, which was capable of withstanding any Allied bomb. The robustness of its construction means that even today demolition would be uneconomical. The base is now used by cafes, a bar, and on the roof is an exhibition about the harbour. The Loire is the longest river in France at 1,012 kilometres. It's been referred to as the Garden of France and is flanked by hundreds of historic estates as well as many famous French wine regions that line the banks. Muscadet, Sancerre, Puy-Fumé. The city of Angers lies in the Loire Valley, 3 miles north of the river on a small tributary. The Chateaux d'Angers has a history stretching back to the Romans, who had a fort on the site. The 17 massive towers were built in the 14th century and reduced in height during the 16th century with the stone used for developing the growing town. Further damage was done to the castle during the German occupation of World War II, when a munitions dump inside the chateau exploded. But even with all that's happened to the castle over the years, it's still an impressive sight. An equally impressive sight, and the first of many on this journey, is the Chateau du Plessis-Bourret. It was built in only 5 years, from 1468, and has been altered externally very little since then. It even has the original working drawbridge. The style of conical roofs is something which can be seen in many of the houses and palaces along the Loire Valley. The river provides water for the fertile valley where farmland and vineyards are interspersed. Large parts of the landscape are also forested, with many of these forests going back to medieval days, when they were used as hunting parks attached to the different chateaux along the valley. The Chateau du Saumur stands on the edge of a forest, overlooking the river and town of the same name. It was built in the 13th century and later became the home of the Dukes of Anjou. Over the centuries, it has been used as a military barracks and a state prison under Napoleon Bonaparte. Today, it is undergoing extensive restoration. Another castle is 10 miles to the south on a small tributary of the Loire, the Château de Montreuil-Bellay. The castle seen today dates from the 13th century, with a turreted curtain wall built in the 15th century. During the French Revolution, it was taken over by the new government and turned into a women's prison for suspected royalists. In 1822, it was bought by a rich local merchant who divided the castle into rental units. His daughter then took over the whole property, and her descendants continue to live in the castle today. Standing in the middle of farmland is the stronghold of the Château du Rivaux. The castle was once four-sided, with turret towers on each corner. As the turrets projected out from the wall, they were able to protect the entrance with an enemy trying to get across the drawbridge. Since 1992, the castle has undergone a great deal of restoration. The design of the castle is in a classic 15th century French style, with the aim of showing off the power and wealth of the owner.